Boom! Ohio State has landed the commitment of Ohio cornerback Aaron Scott, big time commit. And I can already hear every Twitter pessimist out there saying, but bruh, he hasn't signed yet. To which I say, would you shut the up? It's literally how every Twitter pessimist or ex-pessimist reads to me. Well, bruh, actually. Anyways, guys, Ohio State football with Scarlet and Great right here on YouTube. We appreciate you tuning in, guys. Appreciate all the love and support you guys have been giving us over the years. We promise to keep trying to bring free Buckeye content to you as often as we can. I am the third member, the co-host here, third founding member of Scarlet and Great here on YouTube with Shane Sugar Ray Larson, the man we all want to be, the cool kid, married to the Instagram model. God bless you, Shane. We love you. And Johnny, the fisherman bullet, or should I say fisher them. I apologize, Johnny. I know you are very protective of your non-binary pronouns. Fun little fact, that AR-15 he has on his wall is signed by none other than Sam Smith. He's a huge fan, and I'm going to let that marinate for just a second. Anyways, guys, looking to get 6,000 subscribers if I could spit it out. By the start of the season. We appreciate you guys again for all the love and support you've been giving us. And on to the actual news now, of course. 2024 Ohio corner, Aaron Scott is a Buckeye. This is great news for Buckeye Nation. Great news for Ohio State. It's a position of need, a big-time player in the state of Ohio. There's so many implications with this. Probably one of the most important recruits in this cycle. Let's be real. And I would say he's the number one player in Ohio, but it depends on who you ask. The composite, I think, has Bryce West just slightly ahead, but 247 rankings, I think, has Aaron Scott. I could have it backwards, by the way. Aaron Scott way ahead. So don't know for sure. Doesn't matter. Big-time player, top two in the state of Ohio. Ironic, the top two were corners this time around. Bryce West and Aaron Scott. We've needed that for a little while. It's about time the state of Ohio picked that up for us. Come on now, chop. You're supposed to be our farm club. Anyways, guys, quick profile: 6 foot, 170 pounds, 5 interceptions as a junior with 2 touchdowns. I was looking at his highlight film, and I'm not a coach. Obviously, I can't. I'm not qualified to say how good or bad he is. Obviously, I leave that to Coach Walton, Coach Iliano, Jim Knowles, Pantoni, the defensive staff there. But, from what I can see, he competes for the ball, which is a good thing. Plays quite a bit of press. I like that a lot. I like press corner. We're always going to play press for Ohio State, so you got to have that. Good instincts. He'd get his head around and turn around in time to track the ball in the air. We've had a major problem with that. I hope the coaching staff doesn't see that and go, oh, we'll fix him. We'll fix him yet. No looking back. He keeps his assignment well in traffic, when they're running those mesh routes, those crossing routes over the middle, and it's getting bunched up there with the linebackers. He seems to be able to maneuver his way and track his assignment pretty well. He seems to play with a competitive mentality. He's got that dog in him, so to speak. Competes for the ball with the wide receiver. He also seems comfortable when he can play off the ball a little bit and keep his face towards the quarterback and still not lose track of his area, his assignment. So a lot of good things to say about him. Obviously, by what I've described, he's the most perfect corner who's ever lived, and he has no flaws whatsoever. Anyway, solid athlete. He runs track and field, plays basketball as well. I love those dual athletes, those dual sports athletes. I think they just make the absolute best football players. Joe Burrow played basketball. DeJuan Jones played basketball. Anyway, this is an interesting point there. This was a dogfight of a battle in the recruiting battle with Oregon and the team up north. Is it good or bad? Ask yourself, is it good or bad that it was such a dogfight for a kid in Springfield, Ohio, right in their backyard? I mean, it felt like with Urban Meyer and Jim Tressel, this was kind of a slam dunk. Not all the time. I get it. There's a couple here or there that would leave, and it's not the end of the world if it didn't happen. But that being said, obviously, you go on X or Twitter or whatever it is, or social media. And of course, when you lose a recruit right in your backyard, what happens is everybody starts to panic. So I'm going to feed into that, and we'll talk about it for just a little second. I think it's both good and bad. It's good that he's coveted by so many major programs. You don't want kids that, don't get me wrong, there's an exception here or there, like Chris Olave was not really that highly coveted until we offered him. which to me was bonkers if you look at his high school highlights. But and his track times, by the way. So he's a speed demon and he's extremely good at wide receiver. Okay, well, why would you want that? Credit to Zach Smith and Ryan Day for finding him. If you got the majority of your roster, especially at such primo positions such as shutdown corner, you got to have guys that everybody wants. You can't have this, the feel good 2-star guy like Malcolm Jenkins and he pans out to be a great player. It's just not. That's more the exception than it is the norm. So you need to constantly get those guys that are highly rated and highly coveted. Now, I'm not saying it's a guarantee he becomes a great player, but obviously more often than not, they will become a solid player, at least very least solid contributor for your program. Michigan, Ohio State, or Michigan, Oregon wanted him, and we won that battle. That's very key. But why is it such a battle? It's also the bad part is why is it such a battle? But you have to ask yourself, the landscape has changed so much in recruiting that you have to ask yourself, is it NIL related? Because I know Ohio State's finally starting to catch up with NIL. It's not as big a problem as it was. I think Michigan also is making major gains in NIL. Oregon is obvious with Phil Knight and Nike and everything. Is it defensive reputation related that some kids are hesitant? I mean, does it seem like wide receivers are ever hesitant to come to Ohio State? No. Why would they be? Quarterbacks really aren't that hesitant, to be honest with you. It just so why, when we had such a reputation as BIA, is it hard to get these top flight defensive players really along the board, not just in the secondary, but is it the reputation the defense hasn't been that good in the last 4 to 5 years? I mean, other than 2019, obviously. Is Michigan that much of a threat to the state of Ohio now going forward like they used to be? They weren't for a minute. Now they are again. And I could see why they made the playoffs 2 years in a row. They won the Big Ten 2 years in a row. People can take them seriously now. It seems that, for a while that they would only pick up the kids we weren't that high on, but obviously they're competing for high OSU caliber kids right in our backyard now again. And it's like the days of Charles Woodson, So you just have to ask yourself, what's the issue there? Or is there no issue? It was just a hard battle, one of those things, and we move on. But it's something to talk about, right? So anyways, it's a battle we won at the end of the day. I don't know the reason why it was such a struggle. His dad's a huge Ohio State fan. Maybe that even kind of like, I want to do my own thing. I don't know. But at the end of the day, we win the battle. Tim Walton and Perry Eliano doing a great job in recruiting, I think, in my opinion anyway. But we used to be BIA. We need to get back on track. And I think what's happening here is we're seeing that Walton and Eliano can recruit. They can get the talent to the program. If you look at last year's class of Calvin Simpson Hunt, great player, Jermaine Matthews, great player, Lorenzo Stiles, an incredible athlete, who we originally wanted to recruit at corner, wanted to play wide receiver, went to Notre Dame for a couple of years. Now he's back at Ohio State with his brother Sonny, playing in the secondary. Nice feel-good family story there for if you want. You get transfers like Davis and Igbinison. Now, granted, with him, it's a little bit weird what's going on with his position right now. We'll talk about that in just a second. But you're obviously Tim Walton. They're replenishing the talent, level of talent in the secondary at Ohio State. Now we just have to see the results on the field. That's the key at this point. It's an incredibly pivotal year for Ohio State in the defense, and especially in the secondary. We need to get back to being BIA. Remember I take you back to 2014. Doran Grant, Eli Apple were the corners, did a great job. We won the national title. Gary and Conley was kind of that nickelback back when nickelbacks were a thing, not the band, I promise you. Anyway, we felt good about, okay, Eli Apple, then Gary and Conley. Okay, Gary and Conley, Denzel Ward, Marshawn Lattimore. We felt good about who we had at corner. Yet, and then of course, after that, Jeff Okudah, Sean Wade, Damon Arnett. Damon Arnett wasn't even a highly touted player. He was a 3-star that I think we took from South Carolina, out of St. Thomas Aquinas. And in my feeling, I actually liked him from the start. Felt he could be a good player. 2018 was a horrible year for our secondary. Jeff Hafley, all of a sudden our secondary you can't throw on us. Damon Arnett turned out to be a good player, first-round draft pick. it seemed to be just a normal occurrence. And then Sean Wayne moves the outside, and that's where everything falls apart. We don't have the level of talent drop off after Sean Wayne moved outside, just completely cratered. And there's obviously some reason for that, like the Alex Grinch situation with Taver Johnson, the instability in the Jeff Halfley being here for a year and then not being here, then moving insert Kerry Combs to try to replenish the secondary room. Did an okay job with that, but obviously wasn't a good defensive coordinator. So we've had a lot of instability since around 2018, and that's you're looking at 5 years of just not great secondary recruiting. So our secondary isn't what it used to be. And the task of Tim Walton and Perry Aliano come in with Jim Knowles is you got to replenish that room, and they're doing a good job of that. I think you can look at our secondary up and down. There's a lot of talent there. And we can obviously, if you look at the rotation going into this year, with this incredibly pivotal year, you can be confident that Denzel Burke, Jordan Hancock, Jair Brown, probably, maybe Davison and Benison, or in one way or another, are going to figure to be that main rotation at corner. So the talent is rich, but you can say that the experience is a little bit thin. I maybe sprinkle in a freshman or two, barring injury. There's going to be inevitable hamstring pulls and things like that. I'm not trying to wish it into existence. You just know it's football; it just happens. And it's going to be interesting to see how it configures in the defense because we're making those tweaks now. I think Chris Drew brought it up that it's not going to be a cover safety position anymore in that slot. It's going to be more of a traditional corner role again. So, but you got to figure Cam Martinez, Jahad Carter, figure into that mix somehow. We'll see how it pans out as camp is upon us. But, and right now, Benison is listed as a safety by ESPN, but on the Ohio State official roster, he's listed as a corner. I'm not sure where they're putting him. And if they don't put him there at the corner, so he plays safety. Now, who figures into that corner rotation? Is Lorenzo Styles impressing that much already? I don't see how. After he's played a different position for a couple years in college, do they feel confident he can come in and compete for that corner spot to be, in that rotation right away? It's going to be very interesting. We'll have a lot of content coming up. Leave a comment what you think, how that's going to shake out. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Its camp is upon us here soon. But the addition of Aaron Scott, on top of all the talent I've listed, it shows that Walton and Eliana can recruit, but we need to see the results on the field now. Or else we're at risk of another turnover in the secondary. Because what if we have a terrible year in the secondary? Do you think Tim Walton and Eliano necessarily keep their job? Maybe Eliano, but did one of them get the boot because we got to fix the problem? And then we see that, oh man, we don't have any faith in Jim Knowles at $2 million a year. So it creates a lot of questions, and we already have questions going into this year. A lot of talent, little experience. Secondary wasn't great to end the year last year. How does it improve, or does it even improve? And we need those questions to be answered. It's time to have those answers, or it's just going to get harder and harder to pull guys like Aaron Scott, even in your backyard. I can't conceive of a future where, that the Ohio State defense is just, mediocre year after year after year, and you're still going to pull some big time recruits. I mean, maybe once here in a while, but I think gone will be the days of it used to be, it was so easy to get defensive recruits at Ohio State. Now it seems to be a battle. As another podcast will show, what we thought we were going to get, on potential to land defensively in the recruiting cycle, is actually kind of, I don't want to say falling apart, but it's looking very shaky now. I won't get into that right now, but it's just, I understand the landscape of recruiting has changed, but I'll tell you, there's some positions we don't seem to have problems at. So it makes you question why we have problems at other positions. But either way, it's good news that Aaron Scott's a Buckeye. Absolutely wonderful news. Tim Walton, Periano, you guys are restocking the room with talent. Let's just see it on the field translate into production. That's all. Anyway, I appreciate you guys. I will catch you again. I'll be back soon. I'm glad to be back now. You're going to see all three of us, whether you like it or not. And maybe Johnny will do a giveaway, some Sam Smith tickets or something. Anyway, guys, appreciate you guys. Ohio State football is going great right here on YouTube. As always, goodbye, God bless, and go Bucks. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. We probably cooled on him. He probably wasn't all that good anyway. I mean, let's be real. If we wanted him, we could have gotten him, right? Yeah.